Well, hello and welcome to Wildcat Week. I'm Roger Alcock, and it's time to talk more Wildcat basketball and a huge victory for Indiana Wesleyan to take against the Grace College Lancers. And joining me today is the assistant coach, or one of the assistant coach for the Wildcats, and Jordan Weidner. And Coach, first of all, I got to get used to saying Coach Jordan Weidner. Obviously a former player, but you're back in a coaching role your second season. That's got to be a lot of fun, a new learning experience.
Yeah, it's definitely a new take on the game. You know, it's fun sitting over there and being able to watch these guys and see how they've grown since the beginning of the year. But it's hard knowing you don't have any physical impact on the game anymore.
Well, in coaching, of course, just a different challenge. But I think you're still young enough where you can kind of relate to those guys on a different level, even.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that I've really tried to do is take the things I learned late in my career and share it with these younger guys, the things I wasn't learning until senior or first year out of here, and help these guys that are freshmen and sophomores learn a couple things.
Well, maybe we can talk a little bit about what you would share with the guys after the Grace game. And in a moment here, we're going to take a look at some highlights here. But, you know, the Lancers came into this ball game without a victory in the conference. But Coach Donegal has been in that seat many times and has told us it doesn't matter who you're playing in the conference. If you're not ready to play, you can get beat. And I thought Wildcats, quite frankly, probably weren't ready to play after the huge win against St. Francis. And the Lancers were fired up, and they were gunning for the Wildcats that night.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give them a ton of credit. You know, their record doesn't do it justice. They're a good ball club, and they got a lot of nice pieces, and they're well coached, obviously. And you know, I think they just came out fighting, and our guys they weren't ready. They weren't ready mentally for the game. You know, I think a little bit of it was, you know, a little bit of a tired hangover from St. Francis. You know, that game takes a lot physically and emotionally. So, yeah, I think that there was a big lesson learned of just you got to show up ready to play every night in the conference.
We'll see that it was getting down late in the game. It's stretch time, down the stretch time, and the Wildcats are trailing by double digits. They finish on a 20-1 run to end regulation and in overtime to take the victory. But early on here, you know, like you said, credit Grace. They were hitting a lot of shots. They were moving the ball extremely well. We were doing okay. Got the ball into Ben Carlson. We're going to talk about Ben. And Kyle Mangus, you know, had a nice first half. But again, the Lancers offensively, they broke us down on the defensive end.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they just came out swinging. They dictated the whole tempo of the first half, and there was a reason we were trailing. You know, they came out and really imposed their will on us both inside and out, and caught us sleeping a few times. But like I said, a lot of credit to them for how hard they came out and played.
We saw a couple nice baskets around the paint from Evan Maxwell, but you know, if it hadn't been for Ben Carlson in this game, career high 18 points, the Wildcats would have been in big trouble because Evan got in foul trouble and had to sit a lot, and Ben really was able to produce.
Yeah, we're so proud of Ben, just his leadership and the way that he's been able to carry the burden of the team at times this year. And you know, he deserved that game. He deserved to come out and play well and be one of the key, very important pieces and reasons that we won that game. So he definitely deserves a lot of credit. He played hard and definitely led those guys down the stretch.
You see right there the nifty pass to Joel. Later in the game, he had a great pass to Jacob Johnson. That was just a great feed. But, you know, here in the second half, you kept waiting for the Wildcats to make a run. You'd have something positive happen. The Lancers would respond every time. But now we're getting down to the point where the Lancers got to 67 points. They were up on the Wildcats, I believe it was 67-55, up by 12. And, you know, we're in trouble. They did not score but one more point the entire portion of regulation. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, that play that we just showed right there, as coaches, we talked about it yesterday. That was a defining point in the game. You know, that was a winning play. We had three guys completely lay out and put their body on the line for the team and do what they had to win the game. And that was the play that really got us going, having those guys sacrifice their body.
That was that pass from I talked about there. Joel Okafor, though, came up with the loose ball. I think Joel has been a huge factor for this team in the last 4 or 5 games. He's really starting, I think, feel what his role is supposed to be.
Yeah, Joel's a warrior. He's definitely the heart of this team. His passion and his energy, especially defensively, he has a way of just being able to guard the best player the whole game, and he loves that challenge. He loves being able to take that and that be what he hangs his hat on at the end of the day.
Well, the momentum for the Wildcats that they found at the end of regulation carries on here into the second half, into overtime, and now it's all Wildcats. Again, remember going back, we were under 10 minutes, but it's around the 10-minute mark, and the Lancers have only scored one free throw in that stretch, and then finally, in overtime, they get the field goal there. But sometimes you see a team make a huge run to tie it up, but they kind of lose that momentum into overtime. I thought that was what maybe a huge key is Indiana Wesleyan took the overtime over from the get-go.
Yeah, I thought our guys really found a way to dig deep, and all those extra workouts we do over the summer at the end of games sometimes, it's those are the times that we feel those really pay off when it's the the end of the second half, and we need one more push. We feel like that's where that energy and momentum comes from.
Really quickly, I want to go back a weekend. The victory against St. Francis, a great crowd, a great ball game, back and forth, great players on both teams making big plays. That was a huge win for the Wildcats that day, and it had to be fun to be a part of that one.
Yeah, it was a blast. I don't miss playing too much, but those are the games you definitely miss. And it was just great to see our guys really come together. That was a point where we really hadn't really faced adversity like that, and to see our guys just come together and be able to pull out a victory like that was special to be a part of.
All right, well, Jordan Weidner, thanks so much for coming on in and being part of Wildcat Week. I want to remind everybody that up next for the Wildcats is a road trip to Spring Arbor University, Saturday, January 20th, 3 p.m. game time there. Up in Michigan, the Wildcats take on the Cougars in a big Crossroads League contest there. Well, when we come back, it's women's basketball and their big game against the Lakers, or the Lancers, not the Lakers, the Lancers. So don't go away. We'll talk about that when we come back. Welcome back to Wildcat Week. Well, we have some more basketball for you. This time it's the women's basketball game against Grace that we're going to talk about. The Wildcats took on the Lancers on Wednesday nights. They did an unbelievable job on defense, especially in the first half, holding the Lancers to only 20 points. The women led the entire night and ended the game by a final score victory of 80-65. The Wildcats were led by senior Anna Imhoff, 17 points, 2 assists. Senior Brittany Washington had 10 points with 5 assists. Sophomore Carly Lang had a breakout with 12 points and 6 rebounds. Well, joining me now for talk about this big win is the head coach of the Lady Wildcats, Ethan Whaley. And Coach, you guys needed this win. Yeah, I think you needed to play well. You needed to win after 2 difficult losses where I think you admittedly feel you didn't play maybe as well as you could have, but put together a really solid effort against Grace.
Yeah, we talk all the time about where are we moving? Are we moving in the right direction? Is our trajectory upward? And last night was a good time for us to refocus and reshift our thinking to let's stop worrying about outcomes and performances and let's just focus on growth.
And sometimes cliches are overused, but I really thought this was a gut check for your team in a couple ways. One, couple difficult losses, but 2, we've been without Nicole for a while now with the injury, and you miss what she can give you on both ends of the floor and in rebounding. But, you've had some players who have been under the weather and things like that. So against the team coming in that can create some problems. So your team really had to respond, I thought, last night.
Yeah. We every single team in the country has excuses, but the great teams don't care about excuses. They don't make them. They just keep moving forward. That was kind of been the approach we've taken with our girls is, we've had setbacks, but you know what? We're going to move forward and get the job done.
I don't know what we can say that hasn't been said already about the senior season that Anna Imhoff has had, but she's just taken her game to another level. She's not the most vocal person, but what she has demonstrated and how she's on the floor has been pretty impressive.
Yeah, she's playing like a senior, as is Brittany Washington.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud of Anna. She's also been somebody that's been under the weather, but nobody knows it. She's averaging close to 25 a game since she's been sick. So I kind of want to tell the doctors to quit messing with her so she keeps shooting it the way that she is.
And he talked about Brittany Washington, and she's done a really nice job of knowing when to drive, when to pass, when to pull up on the jumper, And she's one of your leading rebounders. People wouldn't know it, but she does a great job on the boards for you.
Yeah, we had a conversation. I'm so proud of Brittany. We had a conversation mid-December, and it was a lot less about basketball and a lot more about leadership. And since that conversation, she's been the heart of this team. She's been the junkyard dog that we needed, and it's obviously translated to success on the floor.
Your bench was big. There we see Anna Imhoff with the layup there, but Elena Dejua came in off the bench for you. Sarah McLemore came in off the bench. Did a really nice job. But one person I wanted to talk about was, I thought you needed a big game from Carly Lang, and you got a big game for her. Sometimes she maybe presses a little bit, sophomore, wanting to make things happen. But she played well, she played under control, she played within the team concept and was a really nice contributor.
Yeah, I'm so happy for Carly. She was somebody I immediately found after the game and just gave her a big hug. You could tell that it was like a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. She needed last night's win. And the reason she was so successful is she let the game come to her. Players, Carly in particular, really wants to do so well, so badly that sometimes she presses, and last night she just took what the defense gave her and created for teammates.
I want to know if Janae called the double bank on that three.
Well, I don't know if she did, but I told the ref as he walked by, I said, hey, I heard her call it.
Yeah, that's right. And, again, she's done a good job coming off the bench, giving you good minutes, provides a real spark and a lot of energy.
Yes, and that's, we talk a lot about juice. You've heard that phrase thrown around, and Janae is a pretty good example of, she just comes in, brings energy, and brings enthusiasm, and does whatever she can to uplift those around her.
We're moving to the second half, and I loved what Anna did right there to start the second half, being aggressive, driving to the basket, getting the layup, and drawing the foul. She set the tone, I thought, and first possession there of what's going to happen in the second half.
Yeah, we always want to hit first, and getting into the paint is a great way to do that.
How do you guard that? She drives by you and lays it up, or if you don't step out on, she'll bury a 21-foot three.
That's kind of been the evolution of her game from last year to this year. Is she's not just one-dimensional and outside threat. She can hurt you in a lot of ways.
I thought you guys did a really nice job in the second half with the extra pass to find the open three. That time was to Katie Key. I think later we'll see Janae do the same thing. Extra pass, got Katie an open look, but offensively, a really nice team effort.
Yeah, extra pass was kind of the name of the game on the offensive end for us. And you and I talked, there were 3 or 4 shots that didn't fall, but we're happy with the possessions that we had because we were making the extra pass and getting a wide open three versus a contested three. So you said it, team effort, very unselfish effort and attitude last night, and I'm really happy for the team.
Katie Key, even with an offensive rebound and a putback. But I thought, there again, that's what I was talking about. Janae looking over there. Well, she was the recipient that time, but she returned the favor later. Now we're talking all offense, but really it started back in the first half. What you did on the defensive end to set the tone for the
Absolutely, game. Grace wants to beat you up. They want to live in the paint. And our goal and our job and our challenge was keep them out of the paint, and we set the tone early, held them to 4 points in the first quarter, and we didn't really look back from there.
Dayton Groninger, got to mention her again off the bench, hitting that three there. At this point in the season, is she a freshman still, or,
It's funny you say that. I wrote her a note just yesterday. I said, Dee, you're no longer a freshman. I'm proud of you, and I need you to step up. And she certainly has relished that role and has done a great job doing that.
What I thought was big in this game, jumping out, you played Grace early in this year at their place, and it went down to the wire. It was a close ball game. In fact, you had to kind of pull it out. Again, that big start to start that ball game. I think it got them on their heels a little bit. Coach Boone tried to sub in, tried to find some solutions there, but you didn't allow them to get a big run to get back in the ball game, where there was a lot of time for that to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you recall, at their place, we actually were up 24-8 after the first quarter at their place, but we allowed those runs. And so that was certainly something we talked about at the end of the first quarter is, hey, let's learn from our past. We can't allow a big run. We've got to keep pushing on the gas pedal, and to our girls' credit, we did a good job of that.
All right, well, Coach Whaley, congratulations on the victory, and thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate you having me.
Well, next up for the Wildcats is a trip again to Spring Arbor University up in Spring Arbor, Michigan, Saturday, January the 20th. 1 p.m. is the start time for that women's contest. Well, when we come back, we'll check in with track and field head coach Caleb Snyder, so stay tuned. You're watching Wildcat Week. Welcome back to Wildcat Week. The men and women's track and field, they're off to their start, and their season begins Saturday. Their indoor season starts this Saturday. And joining me now to talk about that is the head coach of the Wildcats, Caleb Snyder. And Coach Snyder, now in your second season here at Indiana Wesleyan, starting to feel at home now, I would think.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
First year, you're learning a lot of new people, not only on your team, but just across the university.
Yeah.
A little bit more of a comfort level, or
oh, way better. That first year was a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Just constantly just trying to grab hold of what was going on at a certain time, and all the different processes and everything within the job itself that had to be learned, and names were a big thing. So
Sure.
I think it took until April where I was still asking, okay, what's your name?
Yeah.
So
How many, between men and women, how many athletes would be on a track and field squad?
this year we're at 114.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a large crew, but yeah.
That is a lot of people trying to remember all those. And of course, you have seniors who graduate and freshmen coming in.
Correct,
We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But we want to talk to you a little bit about the indoor season, because I said the indoor season begins this Saturday, and you'll host the Indiana Wesleyan Invitational this Saturday. But we were talking off camera. Go back a few years ago, there might not have been as much emphasis on the indoor season. It was warm up for the outdoor season. It was getting in shape for the outdoor season. That's not really the case anymore, is it?
Well, it still is that way ultimately, but because the goal is to be your best at the very end of the season. And so this is great prep work for that. We get a lot of our base training, a lot of our general foundation done here during indoor, and carry that into outdoor. But yeah, there's definitely been a huge increase in steam for the league, especially with indoor track.
Well, talking about your schedule, you host this weekend. You're on the road at Saginaw, but then you have the Winter Classic here, the Midwest Classic at home. And for the first time ever, the Crossroads League is going to have an indoor championship meet. That'll be here at Troyer Fieldhouse coming up in February, the 9th and 10th. So, anytime there's a championship to compete for, that's got to excite a team and a coach.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And if you get the opportunity to come to one of our indoor meets, it's exciting. So that place is packed. Just the overall atmosphere is extremely fun to be around. So
now you prep for, or maybe geared towards, the NAIA National Indoor Meet.
Yeah.
Now that's a traditional meet we've been part of. This year it moves from Tennessee to Kansas, Pittsburgh, Kansas. We'd say Pittsburgh, well, it's Pittsburgh, Kansas. Little known fact, the home of the Gorillas, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. But a new venue, a little bit of change. But the goal maybe is to see how many individuals you can qualify for a championship at that, a national championship competition.
Yeah, that's kind of our focus this year, is to really try to get as many individuals qualified as we can, and really help them focus on their individual events. We've been very strong in the relays over these last couple of years, with a couple All-American finishes in the 4x8 last year for the men.
Right.
With all four of those guys returning. But all four of those guys are capable of doing well individually as well. So,
let's talk about some of the individuals. I know on the men's side of the ledger, strong team returning. Who are some of the guys you're looking forward to saying, we're hoping these are the guys with great performances will lead the team?
Yeah, we've got a couple seniors, Josh Snyder, Noah Stratton, Mike Olson, Josh Summers. But then we've also got Chad Ellens, Brennan Coyle, and the list just kind of goes on from there. So a great returning class. But, we carry over the cross-country men's team, who had a very strong cross-country season this year too. So that'll be exciting.
On the women's side, a lot of new faces, a lot of freshmen, a big freshman class. So you don't maybe necessarily have the experience you have on the guys' side, but there's a lot of talent there.
Yeah.
Who are some of maybe the new names and faces we'll be looking for?
The new ones: Alex McFarland, Carly Lefebvre, Cardia Duna, and we've got a couple of throwers and Paige Shooter, Natalie Cotherman. So, we're definitely adding some major depth for sure on the women's side, but it's young, so it'll be fun to see what happens with them.
We've got about a minute left. Wanted to talk about the outdoor season. When does the outdoor season begin? Do we still have the Polar Bear Invitational?
Yeah, that'll be our first one, is Polar Bear. Yeah.
When is that, in March?
March 24th.
Now, it's the Polar Bear Invitational because it can be cold, but we hope the weather is nice by that time.
Yeah,
But
and last year was great.
yeah, absolutely. But the outdoor season, you said you want to be able to move from indoor to outdoor and really to continue to grow, to continue to improve times, and build towards that eventual conference championship meet and then the NI national meet.
Yeah, exactly.
The process of doing that, it's not easy all the time, is it?
No,
I mean, because
it's a roller coaster.
it is.
It is.
We talked to Coach Dalrymple about swimming, where you can see gains, and all of a sudden, for some reason, an athlete is dropping or adding time, and you don't have a reason for that. So you always have to be thinking and reevaluating your training techniques and what can we do to get this individual to their peak performance.
Yeah. You train individuals, but it's a team sport. And so when you see those individuals start dropping off, you got to make some tweaks here and there to fit them. And so it's pretty unique.
You mentioned 114 total athletes.
Yeah.
There's no way one coach can do all that.
We've got an awesome coaching staff.
I was going to say, your coaching staff, you've got some folks that, when you came in, stayed on board as assistant coaches. I know you've added some few, but so that's been a huge benefit to have some people with experience.
Couldn't do it without them.
Volunteer their time.
Yep.
And that's what it takes a lot of people to make a great track and field program.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, this team would not be what it is without those assistant coaches. They're the key piece to this. So,
well, Coach, we're looking forward to some great news from track and field, and good luck this weekend at the IW Invitational Indoor Meet.
Thanks.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by, and once again, best of luck to the entire team as they begin that season. Well, before we end this episode of Wildcat Week, we would like to congratulate volleyball head coach Candace Moats on being named to the National Christian College Athletic Association Hall of Fame class of 2018. So a huge congratulations and accomplishment to Coach Moats. And Coach Snyder, I know you know there's probably no one more deserving than Coach Moats.
Oh yeah, she's tremendous. We love having her around, and she's been awesome to get to know over this last year and a half. So
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we have for you on this episode of Wildcat Week. If you'd like to watch more of Wildcat Week, you can visit our website at wiwtv.com, and there you can see past episodes and connect with us online. Once again, that's wiwtv.com. And you can stay connected with all our local programming by subscribing to our YouTube channel. That's WIWTV51. Well, we look forward to seeing you next week. So for all of us here, thanks for watching Wildcat Week.